This is the Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Parramatta Leagues Club, home of the Eels, and also home of Jack's Pale Ale.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
Okay, welcome back here to the Weekend Sports Wrap. So you're with the Duckman, and I've got special guest Warner for the first time in a long time. Troy Warner back. The band is back together. How you going, Troy?
Oh, look, I'm going fantastic, Duckman. Thank you very much for the invitation to come back again, and congratulations on 300 shows as well. Major milestone for yourself. Well done.
Thanks, Troy. I appreciate it a lot. So I used a lot of, like I said, the Richard when I was having a chat to him, took a lot of inspiration from a lot of other sports shows around, including like SEN, Big Sports Breakfast, or SEN weren't around when I was doing this, but talking sport with Graham Hughes and all of those sorts of guys, and used to listen to Peter Bosley back in the day as well, at nights when I was doing night shift, and they were running sports on 2UE. So built up relationships and things with all these guys, and just wanted to put my own spin on it. So, and I thought I would be able to do it. And there's a big focus on local sports and community grassroots sports, which is what the majority of my show is about, but also cover things like we're going to do here shortly with the NRL and all that. So all of these guys, none of them were born and just become a State of Origin player straight off the bat. Right? They all started off at some grassroots football club somewhere, and they worked their way through the mix too. So happy to have you back on as well, chatting rugby league again. So it's been feeling like it had an empty bed lately as such, so as a general reference, but it's good. So many things going on. State of Origin 2. I've got a couple of questions for you. First one. Did you see Daly Cherry Evans getting dropped? Number one, did you think he'd stay in? Number two, did you think he'd get dropped?
Number one, I think yes, he would. I thought he would have stayed in the team, and number two, I didn't think he would get dropped. Queensland captain for starters, and also probably an experienced halfback as well at State of Origin level. And look, I don't think you can put the blame on Daly for the first loss in game number one. So, no, I thought he would be there. I thought Queenslanders had that pick and stick mentality, to be honest. And no, obviously they haven't. They've come out and dropped their captain, Daly Cherry Evans. Yeah,
so from what I understand, so they've done that and have a look at the other things in the squad. So they didn't just drop him. I said to Richard, I thought it was a bit of an extraordinary play that they did that. So I can deal with the fact that they dropped him if they picked him as a player. But if you only picked him as a player, don't pick him as captain then. And if you only picked him as a player, perhaps his form wasn't good enough to be in it in the first place. If you picked him as a leader and a captain, I really think you need to maybe take the captaincy off him. But the guy's got to hang around because the morale looks like it's not real flash at the moment. Cameron Munster will do a job, but he's not Daly Cherry Evans the way he talks and leads either.
Yeah, look, I think State of Origin is always hard because it's only a 3-game series, so obviously you want to get it right from game number one. But when you lose game number one, it's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it? Do you drop players? Do you bring new players in so you can get that game number 2 victory? But look, I would have thought that he still would have been there as captain. Will Tom Dearden do a better job at halfback? Well, that's up to the Queensland forwards as well, to be honest, because without them going forward and having that domination over New South Wales, well, then the backs can't do their job. So, look, it's a cruel blow, I guess, for Queensland, but, I mean, being a New South Wales supporter, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah, that's right. I like it. I liked it this way. It's good. It's a bit like watching Hatfields and McCoys, except they're both on the same side when you're looking at Queensland. So it's an interesting mix what's happening at the moment. Another one for Queensland, Pat Carrigan. So he got dropped off out of the starting lineup onto the bench. would you have done that? Do you think Billy Slater's trying to get a reaction out of Pat Carrigan? So, because I'm not sure Ruben Cotter played better than what Pat Carrigan did the other day.
Oh, I think it's just probably just a little bit of a different game plan, I guess, going into game number 2 from Billy Slater. We all know that Pat Carrigan can play 80 minutes, but maybe that's just the initial spark with Ruben Cotter starting the game. So I think, I guess maybe that's just another change that Billy's come up with to think that he can beat New South Wales, but is it a smart one? Look, I don't know. I mean, we all see what Pat can do for the Broncos. I've seen games where in some sets and most sets he takes 2 hit-ups in one set. So, obviously he wasn't that dominant in game number 1, but maybe it's just a change of game plan from Billy Slater.
Yeah, well, he wasn't on his own either.
No, that's right. That's right, 100%.
We both know that. Yeah, and New South Wales, after the first half, I don't think New South Wales are quite as good. They look like they're going through the motions in the second half. Pat Carrigan, so could probably feel a little bit hard done by, but you've got to earn your spot, right? And not here for a barbecue. So Billy Slater, his job effectively is on the line. If he loses again, I'd say Queensland aren't going to pick him again to just go around just for the sake of it next year, because they'd be happy to not drop another series. They won't want to be doing that for sure.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. I mean, I think, what was it, the first season that he coached Origin, he got the victory in the series, and it was all roses and smelling roses up there in Queensland. But now that Billy's under a bit of pressure, having lost last year's series, he's now lost 3 games of Origin in a row. And if he loses this game coming up, well, that'll be obviously 4 games in a row and 2 series in a row. So, look, do they give him another chance after this series if Queensland lose? Well, where does that pick and stick come into it again or not from the Queensland Rugby League? I don't know. I don't know who would take over from Billy as coach, but look, he's going to be trying to implement anything and everything just to get that victory, and as you said, to try and save his job as well.
Yeah, I know one thing for sure. If he loses 3-0, so we haven't even played game 2 yet, but if he drops it 3-0, Queensland are going to flick him like faster than like a hotcake. He just won't be there, right? So New South Wales are probably like, I don't know what to do. Who's going to take over? Queensland will just like, we don't like you anymore. So he'll be a legend, but he'll be, people go, I should never have picked him. That'll come up if they lose again. Shouldn't have picked him. He doesn't know what he's all about. But that Queensland saver, that state of origin's everything to them. So New South Wales, right? Let's have a look. Mitchell Moses injured, out 6 weeks, out of the New South Wales squad. I've got a bone to pick with Luai coming in, right? So I don't mind Luai coming in as a selection. If you pick a guy as 18th man, shouldn't that guy be the next person up effectively in the squad? It's not like Burton as a prop or something. Burton could have easily covered 5'8" centre, potentially fullback, definitely halfback as well, and maybe even lock. So should either side be able to bring in an extra player from outside the group altogether, or when they name a side like that, if they've got someone that's versatile enough to be able to cover a spot, should the player come from within the group of named players?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, Canterbury are leading the NRL at the moment. Matt Burton's been a big part of that. He did get named as 18th man. You would have thought he would have slotted straight into that number 6 jersey, playing out of number 18, but that 5'8" role anyway. But I probably would have went Matt Burton. I think he's done the 18th man job 5 times now in the past, and it's really cruelling Canterbury's chances on Sunday, even though they won't think that because they've still got, obviously a strong halves combination there. But I think Cameron Ciraldo has come out and said that he would like the NRL to change that rule for 18th players because it has happened to Matt Burton so often that he can't go back and play for Canterbury on the weekend. Whether you let those 18th men go and play back at their clubs if they are playing on that weekend and then come back into the Origin fold, well, that might be a solution because, at the end of the day, there's a lot of players that can play State of Origin, but I guess Coach Laurie Daly has gone for Jerome Luai because of last year's series as well. I don't think Matt Burton featured in any of last year's series, so Jerome did. He was probably one of the better players for New South Wales. He's obviously got that combination with Nathan Cleary and also the other Penrith players in that side as well. So perhaps that is why he got the jump over Matt Burton, but yeah, look, it's and especially being such a crucial game number 2, a chance to wrap up the series as well. It certainly is an interesting one, but the Bulldogs are trying to get that rule changed for the 18th player so they can play for their clubs if they're not playing for State of Origin.
Yeah, I think they all should be available if that's going to be the case, and they should be able to back up then. So if your name is 18th player, 18th, 19th, 20th, or even if they went for a few more players, well, I think that's a reasonable request, right, that you should be able to do something like that and come in, because potentially, even if you got injured, well, you could bring someone else into the squad if you really needed to, so not convenient. So I suppose the only thing going against it with this one is they're in Perth, right? If it was in Sydney, I would think you could make much more of a song and a dance about it. So the only inconvenience I can see now is he's going to be in Perth. So that's not really 100% practical. So other than that, hopefully New South Wales win, and it'll be raining in Queensland again next week. Bitter tears of Queensland fans. So that'd be unfortunate. All right, let's go to the NRL. So what have you made of the NRL this season? Let's have a look at the table before we go on to anything else. So have you looked at the table in the last, let's say, day or anything like that?
Yeah, I have, and look, it's really interesting, isn't it? The Raiders are now on top thanks to their first bye of the season, so we're into round 15, and this is their first bye, so they've still got 2 up their sleeve. A lot of the teams have had 2 already, so the Storm have had, this is their 3rd already for this year, so look, it's pretty much a congested table from about 6th down to 14th, with a number of teams there on the same number of points. It's an interesting top 4. I guess nobody probably would have seen this top 4 at the start of the year. We all probably thought that the Panthers might have been up there, the Broncos might have been up there as well in that top 4. The Bulldogs, they had that winning run at the start of the year, and the Raiders and the Warriors, they've probably been the quiet achievers at the moment, definitely, and in that top three, and the Melbourne Storm, we all thought they'd still be up there as well. The Sharks have been a bit of a disappointment of recent weeks, to be honest. They got the win last night, but pretty disappointing the previous couple of weeks. And look, the teams down the bottom as well. Look, my Parramatta side, unfortunately, 16th. Due to major injuries to Zach Lomax and Mitchell Moses, the big one at the start of the year. The Rabbitohs down the bottom there. They're big improvers at the moment. I think probably the Tigers, even though they are in 13th. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting ladder at the moment. Probably technically sort of, or just over halfway through the season.
Yeah, that's right. So look at Penrith with the buys and all that sort of stuff at the moment. They're sitting in 7th. So they haven't been playing good. They haven't been playing terrible either, right? So they're in a funny predicament. They'll make the top 8, and if they do, I wouldn't want to play Penrith, right? They'd scare me because they're good players when they aim up, and they're good players who all aim up at the same time. They're going to be hard to beat. So everyone that's beaten Penrith this year has played pretty good, and Penrith have been asleep for a half or something like that, and then chase all those games. That's not a good position to be in. The Eels are struggling a bit. The Knights, Adam O'Brien, I tip him every year to be the favourite to get sacked. He's still the favourite. The only thing saving him now is he's got $2 million payout if he gets sacked.
That's right.
He'll be super happy that $2 million is there, because I can tell you now, I probably would have moved him on ages ago, right? He's got problems, right? And Kalen Ponga is getting shopped around the Super Rugby clubs now to look for more money and World Cup options, because Rugby World Cup's in 2027. So his dad's looking around. So it's officially done it. The ladder, Canberra Raiders on top. I did say at the start of the year to people, I thought Canberra would be the dark horse because of what they could finish somewhere between probably, if they have a good run, 5th, 6th, something like that. And if they have a bad run, it could be 12th or 13th. They're up the top of the ladder. Not surprised. I think it'll equalise itself out a little bit. They'll probably still finish about 5th, 4th or 5th. I think they've got a serious chance to win the comp. I just don't know if they've got the strike weapons. And Jamal Fogarty, he's on his way to Manly next year, so he's going to be a good pickup there. But the Raiders, once again, backs against the wall, are going to need another halfback. They seem to keep finding them, but so they're always competitive, and they're there or thereabouts. The Bulldogs, they look pretty good at the moment too. So just inconsistent, right? So when they've lost, they got smoked. Just surprised me. The couple of losses they've had have been bad losses. Against the Broncos, they're down by 34 points, and they chased them back, but you're never coming back from being down by 34 points. Melbourne Storm probably look the most like they're scary. So they've been not playing good, and they're still points differential, still 171, right? And they're miles better, nearly double everybody else's. So they scare me, right? They can turn it on and do the job. Broncos have got the players to do it. I'm not sure the players want to play for Michael Maguire. So what happens with Michael Maguire? What does he do? So how does he get people to buy into that?
Not really sure, to be honest. I mean, it was interesting in the off-season, some of the things that he did, and there were suggestions that he was training the side too hard, and players had to wear shirts at training and all this and that, and they thought maybe they were rock stars or the like, but they're rugby league players. So there was those suggestions going around. I don't know what's going to happen. We saw the fantastic performance they put on last week up there at Suncorp Stadium in Adam Reynolds' 300th game. So look, we know they can do it. They have had the injuries throughout the season as well. Reece Walsh hasn't played a lot of football lately. But yeah, they just haven't gelled, and perhaps now this second half is when they do start to gel. They've got the bye this week, so maybe this is the week.
Yeah, probably is. So I think you could be right there with that for sure. Lachlan Galvin. So he musical chairs for what was going on with Lachlan Galvin. Are you happy with what's going on with Lachlan Galvin? What should have happened with Lachlan Galvin?
Oh, well, he should have come to Parramatta, to be honest. I mean, there was a ready number 6 position ready for him. And, you know, we've got a brand new centre of excellence, the best in the world. We play at the best rectangular stadium in Australia. What more could you ask for, Lachlan? But apparently he wanted to go to the Bulldogs, be closer to his, I think, was it his high school coach, rugby league coach. Apparently he liked what he was doing, what he saw at the Bulldogs. But yeah, that was a real saga. But in the end, I just didn't worry me where he ended up, to be honest. But he's at the Bulldogs. He scored a try against Parramatta. His first game, ironically, was against Parramatta. And yeah, he scored a try, and there was a little bit of rumours going around. I'm not too sure how concrete they are, but him going there, he's going to have to force some players out of that side as well due to salary cap and a little bit unhappy players being there. The player I feel sorry for is Toby Sexton. the Bulldogs have been on top of the ladder for most of the year, and he's been their halfback. So I don't know what he's done wrong. So there was rumours that he may leave the club. He's still unsigned there. So yeah, at the end of the day, I just was happy that the saga was over and he'd signed with the Bulldogs, and I think with the amount of money that he's going to get from them, he should probably hunt around for a new barber, I think, after that shocking haircut that he revealed when he signed with the Bulldogs. That was terrible.
I know. What's the go with that? All those young guys, they have to get these stupid, like, I've got no hair because my alternative is I look like a spiky coconut. It's not growing back properly ever again, right? So never coming back. It could look anywhere between bad to very bad, or it can look like I've shaved my head and try to keep it looking neat and tidy. But young guys have full-grown mullet at the back, side zero, put lightning bolts in the side, completely cut their fringe off like he did. I completely don't understand it.
Yeah, they were calling it the Lloyd Christmas haircut from Dumb and Dumber, but I feel a little bit let down because Dumb and Dumber is my favourite ever movie. So now I'm just going to be thinking of Lachlan Galvin all the time now.
That's not helpful. We'll get into the footy anyway because there's been some good football lately. The competition, it is. So I was thinking about this a while ago. I thought the competition is poor and it hasn't been very good. Probably the standards about same as it was in the mid-'80s for a bit there, but it depends how you look at it. There's no leading teams in the competition really. There's a couple of sides up there, but really the competition is probably closer than it's been for a very, very long time, with the exception of Gold Coast looking like a rudderless ship at the moment. Pretty much everyone else looks like if they get on a bit of a run, potentially they've got a decent chance of getting into the semi-finals and maybe having a crack at the comp. Like I wouldn't say there's a standout team this year, unlike probably the last 10 years you could name Penrith or Melbourne or Roosters or Cronulla or someone. You could say these guys will be in the grand final, potentially against these guys or these guys. Well, that's a bit of an open book this year. It could be. It depends if Penrith get back into form. If they do, they could be there or thereabouts. 6 or 8 teams have really got a genuine chance of potentially winning the comp this year for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, no, and that's good for rugby league. That's not just the same teams winning it all the time, so there's a bit of a choice, or not a choice, but there's a few teams there that could potentially take out this year's premiership. And look, if my NRL tipping is any guide, then yeah, it's for sure anyone can win on the day because that's not doing any good at the moment. So I think I tipped 3 out of 8 last week. So there's upsets galore, and any team can win on their day. And we've seen a few comebacks over the last few months. The Bulldogs, I think, did it 2 weeks in a row where they were 20 points down and came back and won. So, look, as you said, any team on their day can get the victory. And now, during this Origin period especially, is a chance for some teams, especially the Warriors, who are not really impacted by Origin. I mean, they've got Kurt Capewell representing Queensland, but that's the only one. Unfortunately, they've lost Mitch Barnett as well now for the season, but Origin's always a time for those guys to really sort of make their run because they don't really have a massive Origin involvement. But now that it's over halfway of the season, and this is the time for teams to really sort of knuckle down and get victories when they can, and even if they are down the bottom of the ladder, just get as many victories as they can and just keep on creeping up that ladder.
Yeah, absolutely. So how much do you think losing Mitch Barnett is going to affect the Warriors? So, because until he got injured, I would have thought him with James Fisher-Harris, they're dangerous, right? So they've got genuine, serious chance to win the comp. I wouldn't say that they don't have a chance of winning the comp, but it's been diluted a fair bit now without Mitch Barnett. So they've got big guys in the side still, but they're relying on lots of things to go right now for them.
Yeah, look, I think it's it is obviously a massive loss losing your captain and your front rower, and as you said, with James Fisher-Harris there at the same time as well, they were having a good combination. And even when Fisher-Harris wasn't there, when he was injured as well, Mitch Barnett stepped it up as well as captain. And look, it's a huge loss for the Warriors, but look, the one advantage that they probably do have, and probably the same as Canberra as well, is if they can stay in that top four and potentially even finish 1 or 2, they'll get a home semi-final, and they will be one. If they win that semi-final, they'll be go straight into a prelim. So it'll be hard to win a prelim over in New Zealand or in Canberra as well. So that's what teams need to get into that top 4. We've seen it all in the past that if you're outside that top 4, then it's a very hard chance to make the grand final. A couple of teams have done it previously, but I don't think anyone's won it out of the top 4. So that's the goal for every team.
It'll be hard to do if the temperature's like minus 50. Like it can get, it gets cold. If Canberra they really need to have a roll of bad weather. So if they can have a roll of bad weather, that's really going to change the whole scope of what's going to happen for them. So Mal Meninga, good old smell my finger Mal Meninga, is taking on the job at Perth Bears. So from looking from the outside, I think that's a good appointment, right? Because Perth need a figurehead. People know who Mal Meninga is, even if they don't really like rugby league. You can probably, I recognise he's got to play for Australia, blah, blah, blah. So he'll be able to sell tickets and be the figurehead guy and coach a bit. He's probably going to have younger guys working with him. They're going to be able to do the business, the day-to-day, and he's probably going to be more like Phil Gould style, overseeing coach and doing bits and pieces of stuff, or maybe like what Wayne Bennett was doing with old mate up at the Dolphins. So I could see it work like that. Do you think he's a good appointment for Perth, and who do you reckon they're going to sign first as a player?
He is a good appointment over there. As you said, he is a bit of a figurehead in the game. He is an immortal of rugby league, so has coached Australia, or is coaching Australia at the moment, has coached Queensland, coached Canberra as well back in the day as well. That wasn't too successful, but as you said, people will know who Mal Meninga is. There was a lot of talk at the start of when they were thinking that the Bears had come into the competition again, that Brad Arthur would get the job. Then there was talk about Sam Burgess getting the job as well. Kevin Walters' name was mentioned as well. So they've gone with Mal Meninga, and I think he will attract players as well over the not the ditch, but over the Nullarbor to Perth. In terms of players, I think Abby Coruscant, he said the other day that he'd be open to going to Perth. I think his contract runs out in good time to go and join over there. But they need a real big sort of marquee player. Look, Payne Haas, probably go for him as well. There's a lot of talk that he'll stay in Brisbane. His family's in and around there as well, so that's a massive move to move over to Perth. But if you could nail a signing like that, then you'd be well on your way. You could build a team around that, so around that player. So maybe something like that. There's also been a little bit of talk as well. Should the Bears organisation be able to contact players now, even if it is before the end of their contract? So, like for players that are off contract at the end of 26, they can't be made an offer until after November 1. But there has been talk: should the Bears be able to have a bit of dispensation and do it early? Look, that probably sounds like a good idea, but then you're going to have other teams say, well, that's a bit of an unfair advantage. The Dolphins might say it's an unfair advantage as well, but look, I'm excited having the Bears back, and in Perth as well. I think it's going to work pretty well. They've got a lot of dormant supporters that are just going to embrace it, and we certainly saw the scenes when they were named as the 18th team in the competition.
Yeah, so I think the Bears are going to be more competitive. They've got the potential to get someone like Nathan Cleary too, because if Penrith do go off the boil a bit here and start to drop off a bit more, potentially I could see guys, maybe even like a Liam Martin, someone that's done everything, so it's won everything. And if Nathan Cleary gets that again in State of Origin, achieves this, I think he's looking for a new challenge. So I thought that last year. I think some of the Penrith players will look at that. It'll just come down to how much does he like living in Penrith and all this sort of stuff. So his fiance or girlfriend fiance is over in England, so that won't last forever. So his football career and her football career won't last forever. He's a bit older than her, so you could see potential pieces like that moving, and potentially something like that might work as well for Murray Fowler, where they both made a move and change, and there you go. It could be positive. So more likely to see probably Nathan Cleary go there than PNG. I don't think that's going to happen. So I could be wrong, right? But I don't think so. We'll kick on anyway. We'll get into the games and talk about some of this other stuff a bit later. So many things to talk about. We could sit here for a couple of hours and chat about this stuff.
Easy.
Yeah. So the Sharks and the Dragons. Anyway, the Sharks won 30-18. Why is it? The Sharks disappoint me greatly, right? So I used to like them when they were not great, and now they're still not great, but they just disappoint me. So they look like a side that promises so much, and it looks like when you get a car with mad body kit on it or something like that, and then when you buy it, you realise, oh, this is not as good as I thought it was. So that's the Sharks, right? And that's their season, and that's Nico Hines. And the Dragons will be disappointed they lost last night, because I honestly think they would have thought they might be able to have Cronulla's measure there. Craig Fitzgibbon, he's doing all right with the Sharks, but they just don't look like they got that X-Factor guy, and they're paying for an X-Factor guy, Nico Hines. I don't think he's the guy that's going to single-handedly do a Nathan Cleary, Cameron Munster, Daly Cherry Evans, Ryan Pappenhausen on a team. He's not going to strip someone apart, or even Mitchell Moses. He's not going to go, all right, I'm going to take this game by the scruff of my neck and just choke out another team and win it on my own. That's not his style. I don't think that's him.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. The Sharks have been disappointing for me as well, especially over the last couple of weeks. I mean, they had the great victory against the Melbourne Storm at home a few weeks ago, and last week they had an embarrassing loss to the Warriors, 40 points to 10 on their home deck. I was disappointed because I tipped them as well. And look, that first half of last night's game as well, I did tip them as well last night, so thankfully they got up and won. But that first half of the game last night, the Dragons were up 18 points to 6, and I thought, well, could end up as anything, to be honest, the way that the Dragons are playing at the moment. But the Sharks, they came out in that second half and scored 5 tries to 3 and absolutely blitzed it in the second half, scored 24 points to 0. And look, they're just a bit up and down, aren't they? They can play really good against the good teams, and then sometimes play really bad against the lower ranked teams, which is probably not what you want. You want to be consistent, and you want to get victories against every side. So the Dragons, they'll be really disappointed about that. I thought they would have put in a much better effort as well. I didn't think Shane Flanagan would have been too happy the week before against the Dolphins getting smashed by that much. So I knew he would have them up for this game. But they'll be disappointed in that second half not to score a point and end up losing the game. So back to the drawing board again for the Dragons.
Yeah, I'm just not sure. I don't think they've got the hard edge player either yet, right? So they need someone like an Isaiah Katoa, so an X Factor guy. I think he'll be a future X Factor player. Someone will be able to win games on his own and that. Not quite there yet. But the Dragons, they've got a lot of real good, like workman-like players. They just don't look like they've really got the guy with the killer blow that's going to do all the stuff. Guffo's been really good for them. All the older guys they picked up from other clubs, Damien Cook and all that, they're all getting the job done well. They're doing exactly what they're employed to do. So they've made the Dragons a really tough team to play against, and they're making them resilient again, which is what they need. They're probably another year or two off being very competitive, so I think they need to strengthen the squad that they've got. So, and that's going to be tough with Perth coming in as well, right? Because people are going to be looking for opportunities. We'll go on to the next game. So this is the only team that Adam O'Brien will be happy about is Gold Coast Titans. Des Hasler. The only reason why I think Adam O'Brien might not get sacked first is because I think Des Hasler is trying to steal defeat from the jaws of victory and race him to the bottom, unfortunately. So Titans are not being flashed. Des Hasler, I've never seen him rip a team until the other day. And he ripped the team. And people are saying, is he going to crack it? He'll be the first person that's going to get suspended or get a $100,000 fine or whatever because he's getting some dud referee calls and that. And he just doesn't look happy at the moment. Des Hasler. Titans are down the bottom of the comp. I don't think they've improved since they moved Justin Holbrook on. And I'm not even sure if it's Des Hasler's fault. I would have let Fafita probably go to the Roosters. They put a lot of effort into keeping him. Now he wants to go anyway and he's not contributing. So should just let him go, really. I don't know where they go from here, but the Sea Eagles, the only thing going in the Titans' favour is the Sea Eagles are also trying to pull it out and see if they can drop their standards a bit too. Like 1 week they're world champions, next week they look like they've met each other in a car park.
Yeah, well, I think there's a clause in Dez's contract. I think if they don't make the finals this year, he could be gone. So he's obviously trying to do everything to inspire this team to get victories. Yeah, you're right about David Fafita. I don't know what's going on there. One time he can come out and have an absolute blinder of a game and then have about 3 or 4 bad games in a row. And I don't know what's going on about his injury situation as well. If he is injured or he's not. Or I don't know if he wants to stay there. He says he wants to. That's why he sort of backflipped on the Roosters. But I don't know what's going on in that situation. But, yeah, look, I thought the Titans might have been a little bit better than what they are at the moment. As for the Sea Eagles, well, they get all the Trbojevic brothers back this weekend and also Daly Cherry Evans as well. So he'll have a point to prove in this game as well to Billy as to, hey, this is how I can play. This is a game that Manly should win, but look, you never know against Gold Coast up there and also against Des, one of his former teams, the Sea Eagles. So, but I am tipping the Manly Sea Eagles to win this one.
Yeah, I think Manly will win. I think it's just too big for Gold Coast. But Bo Fermor, he's been the best player they've got. If Des Hasler gets a flick and they'll be having a look around Gold Coast, they will also be acutely aware that Kevin Walters is available and interested. And I would 100% look at Kevy to get him back in the coaching ranks for sure. So I thought he might get the Perth gig when he didn't. That's cool. He will be available if Todd Payton didn't start the Cowboys anymore or got terminated, and I'm pretty sure he'd be available if Gold Coast come up. So I think people like playing for Kevy, and if he got that job, he'll be able to attract some of Brisbane's junior players and other good players from around the trap. So he'll add something different. Everyone goes to Gold Coast. Everyone else that's gone there really just looks like they've been bereft of ideas or not really able to attract players. Like if Des Hasler had gone there 10 years ago, he would have had players lining up to come and play for him. But now he's probably a little bit past it, really. So not great, but what can you do? So we'll keep on kicking on. So the other side that brings disappointment to the fans, and Adam O'Brien decided to give it to those disappointed fans too, was the Knights. And the Knights, why would you give it to your own fans when they won? They're up against the Roosters tomorrow night at home at 5:30. I reckon Adam O'Brien, and he had to apologise about this afterwards because Matt Johns pulled him up and said, "Hey, you need to pull your head in, buddy." I think he's going to get a gobful tomorrow night, to be honest with you.
Yeah, look, that was certainly a incident that could only happen in rugby league, couldn't it? Apparently, he was walking down to the sheds at half time and was unaware of the booing happening, and then only found out about it when he got asked about it in the press conference, and then apologised the very next day. Well, look, the fans won in that one, didn't they? Because Newcastle went on to win that game against Manly in Golden Point. So maybe that's the secret: be your team at half time if they're not doing any good, and then hopefully they might come out in the second half and get a victory. But look, it'll be hard for Newcastle, I think, to get this win because, you know, obviously their best player, Kalen Ponga, is playing Origin, so he's out. They've got another new halves combination. Jackson Hastings plays his first game of NRL this year. Jack Cogger's a halfback, so they've got another halves combination, and that's probably been one of the hard things about being a Knight supporter is following Newcastle is so many halves combinations that they've had, so they probably need to take the well, I can't say Queensland pick and stick because they drop daily, but maybe the New South Wales pick and stick, I think, but and just pick some halves and just be persistent with them and let them play and see what happens rather than changing them every single week. So look, the Roosters, they'll be circling this game, and I think they will win it. I think Dom Young goes back to the Newcastle Knights after this game, actually. I think he's on his way back up there. He might as well stay in Newcastle after this game because I think he's off to Newcastle mid-season. Big bad news for the Roosters with Sam Walker breaking his thumb at training. He came back from an ACL in New South Wales Cup last week, and unfortunately he's out for another 4 weeks. So he was set to make his NRL, not debut, but first game of the year this weekend, but unfortunately that is not going to happen. So that is a big blow for the Roosters, but look, I think they will be just too strong, although we did see the Newcastle Knights against the Panthers in a Origin affected game beat them, so who knows what will happen in this one.
I reckon Jackson Hastings is going to step up and rub it in Adam O'Brien's face because Adam O'Brien, I'm pretty sure, said Jackson Hastings won't play for the club again. A good chance to really rub his face in it, particularly on 750k. He must be the highest paid reserve grader in the competition at the moment, Jackson Hastings. I don't know what he keeps doing. He's got some problems. Someone needs to have a look from the outside that's got no interest in his life or no interest in what he does, like as in an external manager or something, and say, mate, you've got these issues because every time you go to a club, something happens, right? We've identified these contributing factors. You need to address these contributing factors, whatever it is. Currently, it looks like he's got some problem with his partner, having problems with other people's partners or something. So who knows what's going on there, right? I do believe what said. I think the Roosters will come good. I think the Knights get disjointed without Kalen Ponga. They look like they never played. They've got 7 halves. Well, why would you have 7 halves in the whole club? Like, it's stupid. Then they bought Dylan Brown for $1.3 million a year. Like, I don't think they know what they want. So it's signing people like willy-nilly left, right, and centre at the moment. So they're up for the take with the Roosters. If the Roosters win, Adam O'Brien's going to have problems. So he'll have massive problems. Tomorrow night, 7:35 p.m. The Cowboys, who've been probably a bit disappointing as well, really. So I would think they could perhaps be doing better than 8th up against the Dolphins. And the Dolphins, I don't think they're missing anyone for Origin. I think the Cowboys are going to have a hard day tomorrow.
Well, they're only missing their best player, the Hamaso Tabuai-Fidow. Max Plath is out as well. I think he's done a knee injury as well. So they got their best player out. So Jake Averillo goes back to fullback. But the Cowboys obviously have more players out than due to Origin than the Dolphins. Tom Dearden, Ruben Cotter, Reece Robson, Jeremiah Nanai. So they got 4 players out due to Origin. So it is up in North Queensland where they do tend to play a little bit better. But look, I just think maybe the Dolphins might get this one. Everyone raves about Isaiah Katoa and how young he is, but how he can control the game and stuff like that. So that I think that'll be the case again as well for the Dolphins. I think they'll get the win. Interesting little stat. Jordan McLean, the prop for the Cowboys, I think he plays his 150th NRL game, but he also is playing. Number 17 for the Cowboys is Caden Lars. Now that last name might sound familiar because that's Tom Leroy Lars's son, and
from Canberra.
Yeah, from Canberra. And Jordan actually played with Tom down at Melbourne, so he's played with the father. Now he's playing with the son as well in the same team. So a little bit of a fun fact there. But I think the Dolphins will get this one comfortably. A lot of pressure will be, I guess, on Scotty Drinkwater, but also on Jake Clifford as well, who's come in for Tom Dearden.
So I've heard a few people say they reckon Scott Drinkwater should be New South Wales fullback or in opposition with Dylan Edwards for it. Like, he's not going that good, is he?
I don't think so. He is a bit partial to a mistake here and there, especially under the high ball. But in saying that, we know what he can do as well on the field as well. So, look, I don't think he's playing out of his skin. He has had his moments of brilliance this year, but probably not playing out of his skin like we did see, I think, in 22 when he had a cracker of a year, as did the Cowboys.
Yeah, so definitely. So, and they're both good sides, right? They can both be potentially top 4 sides. So the Dolphins haven't made the finals yet, but they're still in their infancy. They're still developing. I think the problem with the McLeans is they're getting older and they need to bring in a few younger players to replenish what they got, right, and add some extra players to Isaiah Katoa and that stuff. Can't put everything on the hammer all the time. Felice Kafusi, he absolutely kills me in Supercoach every week. So, like, one week I drop him out of the team, he gets 80 points, put him back in, he gets 25. Like, what are you doing? So, seriously, just either be consistently bad or consistently good. So it's not that hard to work it out, I wouldn't think. There you go. So the Rabbitohs up against the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are missing some firepower too, Stephen Crichton and Matt Burton. The Rabbitohs are without Latrell Mitchell. How do you see this one playing out on Sunday? This is going to be a big game. Probably the biggest game of the round, to be honest with you. And it's probably going to get the best response too.
Yeah, look, it probably will get a massive crowd out at core, even though those Origin players are out. The Rabbitohs are also missing Cody Walker as well due to injury. So Jack Whiten is the captain this weekend. As you said, for the Bulldogs, Steve Crichton, Matt Burton. They also lost Kurt Mann, who's representing Queensland, and also Max King as well, the front rower who played off the bench in Origin 1. He is starting in Origin 2, so they've got a few out there, but as I mentioned before, they've got a pretty made ready 5'8" in Lachlan Galvin, who just slots straight into Matt Burton's spot. they don't. Jacob Kiraz has been with the New South Wales squad. He's on alert for Brian Toto with a possible hamstring injury, so he's been up in the New South Wales squad. He will know later, I think it's Saturday or Sunday, or Saturday, if he'll be needed. So he's gone into Stephen Crichton's centre position anyway named. So, look, the Bulldogs, they still have a pretty strong side as it is, and are obviously travelling a lot better at the moment than the South Sydney Rabbitohs. But, the Bulldogs will get this win, I think. I'm tipping them anyway. Two rivals. They probably won't get the 65,000 that they did on Good Friday, but there'll still be a good turnout there on Sunday afternoon, being the only game in Sydney, and on Sunday as well.
Yeah, so the Rabbitohs are 14th at the moment, but they've had 6 wins, right? So the 6 wins really takes them up, probably would drop them about 9th if you're looking at wins and that. So they go above Penrith, go above the Cowboys, above Roosters, Dragons and West. So they're not travelling bad, right? With the firepower they got, which includes Jack White and Latrell Mitchell and all these other guys, they really should be doing better than what they are. They've got the ability. I think they've got the ability to get the Bulldogs here on the hop, because the Bulldogs are missing so much strike power, particularly at Crichton. He's massive, and Burton. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it now. It's their best chance. They've got problems with their defence, but they leak a few points, the Rabbitohs. The Bulldogs, if the Bulldogs play normal, the Bulldogs will be sweet. If the Bulldogs play like they did against the Broncos the other week and let Souths get on a roll, they're going to play like what Penrith have done so far this year, and they're going to be chasing the game again, and they're not going to be able to get back into it. It's going to be too far gone already. So I think their chance is to get on the front foot and get some lead and dominance early. And if they do, they should probably be able to roll on with it. And if they don't, I think Canterbury will not only run them down, I think they'll run them over.
Yeah, look, I think Canterbury will be strong, even with those Origin players out. We've seen it before. Well, not against the Dolphins, they didn't, but with a couple of players out, they have. They got the return of Jacob Preston, who played last week, I believe, after his 5-match suspension. But look, the Rabbitohs, they've been missing Cam Murray all season. He was ruled out at the start of the year, I think, with a Achilles tendon injury, so they're really missing him in that middle of the field. But I think Canterbury will be too strong.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's it for the games this weekend. So what have you got on this weekend, Troy, and what have you got on with the Paracade podcast at the moment? Saw you drop one the other day. You put something out there for the Origin?
So I've got Dale Rowdy Shearer, actually, part 2 of his interview. Part 1's out now, so Queensland legend, has played pretty much every position in the back line for Queensland except for halfback. Played for Australia, went on a couple of kangaroo tours, a good little chat with him. So that one, part 2, will come out over the weekend. And then, probably trying to look to do a Origin preview early next week. And just all the other stuff that usually comes out as well, tipping podcasts, game review podcasts. It's a pretty easy week for me this week because there's no Parramatta game. They have the bye this week, so no game reviews there or previews. So, just looking forward to next Wednesday night and the Blues getting the victory over there in Perth and wrapping up the series a second year in a row. So, cannot wait for that one.
Yeah, so how much do you reckon New South Wales will win? And then I'll give you my tip on the score.
Look, I think they have racked up some pretty big scores over in Perth before, but I think they'll win by 12 points.
Yeah, so I'm going to call a big one. I reckon New South Wales are going to win 40-8, and Billy Slater will get sacked and won't even being coach for Game 3. So we'll go for the big calls. And I don't know who they'll get to come in, so they'll find someone in between. They might even get like someone like Michael Maguire, who's friends of all the Queenslanders to come in and try to coach all them. So
they can bring back Fatty Vaughan.
I don't know who to. Oh, they'll have to. So they'll run out of people otherwise. So yeah, no, genuinely don't know. I don't think they'll get blasted that hard. I think New South Wales in 28-4 or something. I think they will put the cleaners through them here, away from Queensland. Queensland just lose that aura piece and mojo that they got, and it's going to be a bit of a tough game. They can easily also potentially win it by 10 to 15 points as well. So, but I don't think so. I think New South Wales are pretty settled with what they've got, and I think there's probably a few people looking over their back in the Queensland side. They'll be wondering if they're going to be there in game 3 and or next year, and one of them includes the coach.
Yes, well, all we can say is hopefully New South Wales get the victory, and we'll have to wait and see if they can get the clean sweep in Sydney in early July, I think. So that would be great if they can get a clean sweep. I think the first one from, I think, New South Wales since 2000, so it's been a long time since they've done that. They set records by winning back-to-back games up in Queensland at Suncorp in Game 1 this year and also Game 3 last year. So, let's hope they can go 3-zip up.
Yeah, I hope they do. That'll be good if they can. So just want to let everyone know, anyone's listening, got a ticket giveaway, have a look on the Pulse FM page on Facebook. I've got a question there. Can't remember exactly how it goes, but pretty much who played 23 games for New South Wales and also played with the Canberra Raiders and coached New South Wales and played with the Kangaroos and helped New South Wales break Queensland's dominance back in 2014 and 2015. Can't remember the exact year. So look at the question, leave your answer. I'll be drawing a winner on that on the show. I'll put it on Facebook so everyone can see it. I'll do a live video. I'll use my little spinner wheel thing we got here and put the correct names on it. So I'll say who the correct names are and put the list of people who have put the right answers down, and we'll get the spinner wheel cranking. So, and I'll get someone else to spin it so it looks independent, so no one can accuse me of being dodgy with it. And that's how we'll work out who the winner's going to be.
I'll give it a crack then.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks for joining me, Troy, tonight. Really appreciate it, getting you back on there. It's good to have you back on chatting rugby league and stacks to talk about again. And, look forward to having a chat. Hopefully next week if it all works out.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on once again. And again, congratulations on 300 shows. It's a massive effort, and you're kicking goals left, right and centre, mate. So, yeah, would look forward to coming on again anytime.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Troy. I'll chat to you next week.
Thanks, Duckman.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. See you next time.